Welcome to Lindamood-Bell Radio. I'm Dave Hungerford for Lindamood-Bell. Today's episode is a conversation I had with Kellie Minton Cohen, the Director of Student Achievement and Accountability at Fort Smith Public Schools in Arkansas. Every educator, parent, and political leader knows that schools need to do something dramatic to heal COVID learning losses, especially those sustained by disadvantaged students. To meet this urgent need, Johns Hopkins University Center for Research and Reform in Education and the Success for All Foundation started a nonprofit organization. They're helping to bring proven tutoring to students who've lost ground during the COVID school closures and to kids who are far below grade level for any reason. Lindamood-Bell for Schools is proud to partner with proventutoring.org. Visit their website to learn how your school can get started. proventutoring.org. Here's our conversation.
My name is Kellie Cohen Minton, and I am the Director of Student Achievement and Accountability for the Fort Smith Public Schools. In my previous life in the district, I was Director of Special Education. So diverse populations in terms of academic need, as well as diversity with regard to language and culture, given that now part of our department, our English language learners, has been a really meaningful part of my professional career.
What is Fort Smith like demographically, and where is it in the state exactly?
Well, we're in the northwest part of the state. We, at one point, were the third largest school district in the state. I don't know if we've shifted to fourth largest. I'm not sure. But we have a student population of about 14,000 students, about 5,000 of which are English language learners.
And are they speaking a variety of different languages, or do you just have like one or two other languages that you need to with?
Primarily Spanish, Dave, but we also have Arabic, Vietnamese, Laotian, Marshallese. I'm sure there's many other. There are 34 different languages spoken in our school district, and those are the ones that are most prevalent, though.
And what about Fort Smith, the city itself? Is there a primary industry or profession that Fort Smith is kind of known for?
Fort Smith is known for a University of Arkansas, Fort Smith, that's located within our community. We have several industries that are local and many other businesses, an active chamber, active community, active partners in education. We have neighborhood schools. We have 19 elementary schools that are located in 19 different communities in our district.
In general, just kind of what's your role? What do you do on a day-to-day basis for the district?
On a day-to-day basis, I am in many of our 26 campuses, visiting schools, visiting classrooms, talking with interventionists, those who work with students who are struggling a little bit, all the way to students who are struggling at a much higher degree, who may be multiple years below grade level in reading. We have federal programs, most of the federal programs in our department, assessment, reading, math, science, social studies, but we are most invested in supporting students who are struggling for whatever reason, whether it be language, poverty, or a limited ability to read.
So does the special education department fit under your umbrella then?
No, but there are partners. We collaborate with them. That we certainly, our Department of Special Education in Fort Smith uses Lindamood-Bell, partners with Lindamood-Bell, and we do as well. Our focus is more general education, K through 12, as well as students who have been identified as having dyslexic-like characteristics, yet are not receiving special education services. That's when our friends in special education pick up the ball and run with it with Lindamood-Bell.
Great. So you're serving students of need that just maybe do not qualify for special education directly. Right. You are. And so let's back up and talk about kind of the genesis of the project together. How did that come up? Were you around when you were considering that?
We are the Department of Student Achievement and Accountability, so we're always looking at data. We're looking at test scores, the high stakes test primarily, and we noticed a trend that was very bothersome to us. And it was in kindergarten through second grade primarily, our students were having increased difficulty, particularly in the area of phonics and decoding. We were looking at encoding and also comprehension, but boy, phonics really stood out to us as an area of concern. And so at that time, my boss, the assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction, said, "You are going to address this. We're going to see this around," because he understood, just like all educators do, that if students aren't able to read on grade level by the time they get out of second, third grade, then it's a really tough hill to climb, right? And so we really needed to focus on early intervention. And so we started looking at ways in which, or programs that might be a good fit for us. We did this alongside a state mandate to provide services for students with dyslexic-like characteristics. So we piloted. We gave all of our 19 schools, elementary schools, an opportunity to pilot Lindamood-Bell, a program that we had researched and seemed to have a solid research base, solid database, and positive accolades from in districts much like ours. And so we 12 of our 19 elementary schools elected to pilot it. They had such phenomenal results in a semester's worth of time. So 5-6 months worth of time. And when these results were shared with all of the schools, it was decided that it was a vote, a unanimous vote, that we will move this from pilot to institutionalized. We will do this in all of our K-2 classrooms. And so we added it to our literacy block, Seeing Stars and VV, depending upon the student's needs, and we're supported by weekly, bi-weekly coaching, and that's how it began. We were very anxious to see whether or not that upward trend of our students performing at grade level, because what we tried to do in Fort Smith was increase the number of students who were remaining in the classroom and performing close to grade level or on grade level, increase that number, at the same time decreasing those students who need interventions, who need some specialized support. Because we understand that, again, like so many educators, that your bang for your buck is in the classroom. So let's strengthen our classroom instruction by adding this very explicit research-based component. We did that, and we have seen nothing but upward trends for over the past 3, almost going on 4 years now. There has been across the board, across the district, and that seems to be the pattern at almost all of our 19 schools. You will see like maybe a dip at one school in second grade or at first grade at another school, but consistently we are increasing the number of students who are remaining in the classroom because they have an appropriate skill set to be able to decode and comprehend independently, and at the same time decreasing those who need specialized support. And those that do need specialized support, we are intervening and doing what a good intervention should do, and that is return students to the general classroom setting. We don't want, just like we don't want in special education, it to be a life sentence for students. We don't want intervention to be a life sentence either. We want to provide point-in-time support and then get students back in the classroom. And
So you train both the general classroom teachers and your specialists, your interventionists. Did you train them at the same time? And if so, what was that like?
Well, we started with those who were interventionists and going to be providing the 45-minute to 60-minute block of time for Seeing Stars and VV, depending on the grouping and the student's needs. We had such positive outcomes from those individuals, and from their colleagues who noticed that when students were back in the classroom, they were able to decode and comprehend more fluently than they had been otherwise. And so they start talking to each other saying, hey, what's going on? Well, they would observe some of our interventionists and they said, that's something I'm really interested in. Well, this morphed into from a pilot, it morphed into this is something that we will use in every one of our K-2 kindergarten, first and second grade classrooms across the district. So that's about 150 classrooms that we were using in a general education setting alongside with using it by our interventionists. And when we have training, they're mixed. They're mixed across schools, across general ed, special education, and interventionist.
Did you have live workshops there, or is it?
We did before COVID.
Yeah.
It was live workshops on site.
Mm-hmm. And what's this year been like with the special issues that have come up with having to be at home? And I think you were closed for a little while, right? You're open now.
In the spring, maybe sometime in March, we went to full remote learning. And I tell you what, we have had many conversations at the district level with principals. We've had conversations with individual teachers about how our partnership with Lindamood-Bell set us or caused us to be in a position where doing virtual observation of classrooms, whisper coaching, Zoom sessions. We had already been doing that thanks to our partnership with Lindamood-Bell for 3 years. So we were accustomed to, we had the Segways, the little robots that would go around the schools. And then we shifted to more of the laptop-based Zoom sessions. But we were very accustomed to working virtually with an expert across the country in another location. So it was an easier transition for many of our teachers and our principals because of our partnership with Lindamood-Bell.
There's something else I wanted to ask you. I forgot earlier. Most states have moved to a real high stakes testing, usually third grade. Mm-hmm. Some of them have creeped down into the lower. What's the Arkansas testing process like in a nutshell for those early grades especially?
Well, we have our high stakes testing beginning in grades 3 through 10 that the results of which are used to help assess performance, school report card, accountability. And then we have K2 high stakes, if you will. It's not used as part of the accountability formula, but it is our high stakes for kindergarten through second grade. And that is what we look at to see whether or not, to help us gauge whether or not Lindamood-Bell is making a difference. We know that there's other variables, but what I can tell you is that before we started incorporating Lindamood-Bell practices with the support and supported accountability, we were not seeing the kinds of gains on our A2 test in reading that we were hoping to. We were seeing a decline in student performance. So when we began using Lindamood-Bell, we were wondering whether or not this was going to be a fluke or whether or not it would be a trend that would continue moving in the right direction. It has been.
Good to hear. What are the plans for the future? Now, when things get back to, maybe you're back to a little more normal than we are. We're all down still.
We're not, in that we aren't having large group in-person trainings, but you know what? It's not stopped us. We have had virtual PD, and our teachers leave their cameras on, and there's good conversations. They're broken up into groups. There's breakout rooms. In some cases, I think that it may be benefiting us more with training in this manner. The teachers seem to be more focused, truly, and you would think that it might be just the opposite, that if they were Zooming, they might be engaged in other activities and not paying close attention. That doesn't seem to be the case, given the way that Lindamood-Bell has structured our PD. So we've moved forward. This summer, we had a summer reading camp. This summer, a virtual summer reading camp that was a model for others. It was highly successful, as successful, if not more so, than our in-person summer reading camps that we've had in the couple of years past. It was, if you have not seen what they were able to pull off with virtual summer reading camp with these students, and I can't remember how many students we had. Kathy Ford will know this exactly, but it was a large number of students, and they were on Zoom 8 to noon, Monday through Friday. There had to be an adult who could facilitate and support this learning, but we broke it up into, or Lindamood-Bell broke it up into maybe 15-minute sessions, and there would be a PE exercise or an art exercise, something that got them up moving and energetic. Our students were so focused during this time, and it was so going virtual, while it's not our preference, it's really, with Lindamood-Bell, we've not skipped a beat.
It's great. I think that was from that summer sessions what they sent me to make the short videos. It was fascinating to see the kids sitting there, and you'd hear a baby crying in the background, but they were still on it. They were still focused.
Yes.
Great.
Exactly. And the wonderful exercises that our teachers with Lindamood-Bell incorporated at each of these 15-minute intervals were so engaging. They were so fun.
Yeah, that's fun. Well, your staff, I could tell, were real energetic too, the ones that I saw.
Yes.
Great. I heard stories, I think your district, about when things first went down, that parents that didn't have Wi-Fi at home would sit in their car in the parking lot of the elementary schools in particular, I think, to do homework and things.
Yes, and to join their Lindamood-Bell sessions. When we went remote, and not all families had access to internet in their homes, in order to have their child still participate in their group sessions, particularly their Lindamood-Bell group sessions, they would bring students to the parking lot of a campus, any campus. We had signage that said this is the best place at this location to access Wi-Fi, and they would be in their vehicles, and they would be accessing Lindamood-Bell sessions. At one of our elementary schools, I actually pulled up and knocked on a window, scared a parent to death, I think, but knocked on a window because I saw what they were doing. I saw the flip cards on the screen, so I knew what they were doing.
Wow, that's kind of heartbreaking and heartwarming all at the same time.
Yes, and so what we've done is, like many districts, we've moved towards hotspots for families, so they won't have to go to that extreme. But it is heartwarming to know that parents value this so much. Not just Lindamood-Bell, but the instruction they receive in our schools. It is heartwarming. Yeah,
we're getting to the point where Wi-Fi is just kind of a basic human need almost.
It is. It absolutely is.
So, well, I know.
If we're going to provide equity, one of the reasons why we became so interested in Lindamood-Bell was because of its research base. It was broad-based research from a number of reputable institutions and universities, and research that was conducted in school districts with demographics like our own, and with students who were struggling readers. Some identified as having dyslexic characteristics, and some who didn't, but they were struggling nonetheless. So we looked at the demographics of these districts where Lindamood-Bell had partnered with the school district, and we looked at the results, and we said, that's something we're interested in, that we are very interested in data-based outcomes. And that's what we saw with Lindamood-Bell. And we saw a depth and breadth of research studies relative to how students acquire reading skills that caused us to be so very impressed. And Lindamood-Bell wasn't the only option we looked at. We looked at numerous programs, some we'd used in the past, but we had to, when we compared the quantitative data and the research base, there was truly no comparison for us. And Lindamood-Bell was a program that we felt like was worthy of implementing.
That's good to hear. I could picture one district in particular, Pueblo, Colorado, that I think kind of fits your size and demographics.
What's made the difference for us with Lindamood-Bell is that implementation with fidelity, and the way in which we are able to ensure implementation of fidelity is to support those teachers, those interventionists, by someone who is an expert in the delivery of this program. And it's providing ongoing, non-threatening, supported accountability. It's support for the teacher, and it's accountability at a district level where you're looking at bang for your buck.
So let me play devil's advocate then. Why would a program or an approach, you've got well-educated, credentialed instructors, why does it need all this extra coaching and professional development and not being just something kind of out of a box? Why do you think that is?
Well, it's a gradual release. We start with intense PD and a great deal of support. It may be with some staff weekly support, depending on how unsure they are and what kind of supports they identify that they need. We have gone from everyone having the same amount of coaching to differentiated coaching based upon request from principals, request from teachers. There are teachers who they are dynamite, but they just aren't confident in their skill set. And that's a nice supportive crutch for them. And we are moving away. As I said, it's gradual release. So we certainly want our teachers to feel confident in their independent ability to design lesson plans, to form groups. And we have some who only receive coaching once a semester now, and it's just to stay connected. They develop relationships with their coaches, and some have had several different coaches. It's usually consistent across the school year for an individual, but even if it changes at semester, the staff we've worked with Lindamood-Bell have been so gracious and so supportive and so encouraging that you build a relationship with them, and you want to get that pat on the back, even if it's just once a semester. So I think that this gradual release with regard to differentiated PD and support makes great sense.
And one thing people forget too is, the other two original professions, law and medicine, they're not done once they get their degree in bar insurance. They get continued professional development as well.
Well, that's a great point, and it's always so interesting to me to hear our teachers talk about it being a profession, which I agree that it is. And then going on to have the conversation with regard to practice of medicine. And the practice of medicine involves engaging with colleagues and upgraded training and ongoing professional development. So it's the practice of education.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that there's any educator anywhere, including myself, who wouldn't benefit greatly from continued support and increased learning in a certain field.
I can tell your passion's right there. That's good.
Really, but my great passion is special education and reading. This has been a passion of mine for a long time. So that has been a real gift that I have been able to work with the special education end of it as director of special education, and now with the general ed side of struggling learners for a variety of reasons with director of student achievement and accountability. One thing I would say too is that with Lindamood-Bell, there has been a consistency, not just in language and strategies, but across programs, so that whenever what the teacher's using in your general classroom is the same, you're hearing the same language, the same strategies in intervention, The same strategies in special education. It allows for more focused professional development in our district, and it makes it easier for students because students who are struggling, if you're doing one thing in the general classroom with one set of vocabulary and a set of strategies, then they go down the hall to intervention and you're doing something completely different, a different methodology, different strategies. And then again, when they go to special education, think how confusing that must be and challenging for students who are already struggling.
Right. Awesome. And part of what we work really hard to train our staff on and make sure that we coach that consistency of language too.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because none of us have our researchers. I don't know of any teacher here who is a full-time second job as a researcher enough to where they would have the research base to change the pace,
Right.
to change practice. Yet that's what we leave teachers to do when we don't provide them this ongoing support with a very structured and sequential program.
Yep. That was a big debate early on with the authors of the programs, Nancy and Pat, about, do we do a week-long workshop and then they go out and 4 months later it's not going to be anywhere near the same program, and if it doesn't work, it's going to be our fault.
Right, exactly. Yes, so this is the way that we continue. Everyone talks about the importance of implementing with fidelity. But Lindamood-Bell gives us a way to ensure that there is ongoing, sustained implementation with fidelity.
Thank you. It's great to meet you.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, Kelly, take care. And thank you for listening. Don't forget to check out proventutoring.org and lindamoodbell.com for more ways that you can help your students or your child. We are Lindamood-Bell.